Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. For this Wednesday night FA Cup fourth round replay at Villa Park, we see Aston Villa take on Chelsea for a chance to take on Leeds in the next round. Aston Villa have really took off this season under Unai Emery as they currently sit fourth in the Premier League with 9 wins from their 11 at home so far in the league this season. This is already success for Villa in the FA Cup, as for the last 7 seasons they'd been knocked out of the competition in the third round. For Chelsea, they are already into one cup final as they take on Liverpool in the Carabao Cup in 2.5 weeks' time. But for the FA Cup, they are looking to reach a 6th final in the last 8 seasons, only winning one of those finals against Manchester United back in 2018. The reverse fixture at Stamford Bridge was a 0-0 draw, but their Premier League meeting at the Bridge saw a 1-0 win for Villa, with a Watkins winner in the 73rd minute after a red card in the 58th minute for Chelsea's Malo Gusto. So, for the 165th meeting between the two sides, will it be Aston Villa or Chelsea to progress through to the 5th round of the FA Cup? It could not be two more opposite sides in terms of their recent FA Cup form in seasons gone by. Before this season, Aston Villa were knocked out in the third round in the 7 seasons before that. That is, just insane to even think about. Aston Villa did reach the FA Cup final back in 2015 where they were beaten by Arsenal, but for Chelsea they have reached the final 5 times in the last 7 seasons. Again, that is just out of this world good. So much consistency, and I've got to remember those runs as well were under all different managers, likes of Tuchel and Conte as well. So those finals have come under plenty of different managers. Last season they were knocked out in the third round, but that was to Manchester City, who ended up winning the FA Cup last season, so can't be too displeased with that. They were actually knocked out in the third round of the FA Cup and the League Cup last season, Chelsea, away at Manchester City, so not the best of luck really in the Cups last season, but they both progressed this season against Championship sides in the third round. Chelsea had Preston in the Championship, they won 4-0, all the goals come in the second half, and Aston Villa got through to the fourth round after beating Middlesbrough by a goal to nil. At the Riverside Stadium. It was a late winner from Matty Cash. It was a big deflection for the right back's goal, but it was right near the end. It avoided a replay and they got through to the fourth round. And then when these two teams met last time, it was a 0-0 draw. It was a Friday night. Aston Villa ended up having more shots on goal and more on target, but Chelsea had more of the possession. And I think tonight for Aston Villa, I think they can accept a bit of both. They can expect periods of possession, but we know how dangerous Aston Villa can be on the counter attack when you've got the speedsters of Watkins and Bailey, and you've got the providers of Tielemans and Louise, and then the engine of Kamara in the midfield and McGinn out wide. It's a perfectly balanced Aston Villa team, and it's going to be a real struggle tonight for Chelsea to try and get through this tie and into the 5th round. The winners do face Leeds at home, who progressed last night in their replay away to Plymouth Argyle. They ended up winning 4-1 in the end last night, scoring 3 goals in extra time. So it won't be an easy tie for the team that go through, because Leeds are now obviously in the Championship, but they're high in the table, so they're going to be more confident than they would have been last year when they were down low near the Premier League table, not winning many matches. But that's the difference with relegated sides. When they do go down, they go from losing a lot of weeks and then they get relegated to the league below, and then they end up winning loads of games. So it'll definitely be a more confident Leeds side, and the dangerous players like Jorginho Ruta, Crysencio Somerville, Willie Nonto's hit a bit of form recently. Them are all scoring frequently now, so it'll be more of a dangerous side to come up against. I think if Aston Villa were to go through, I think they would be favourites to knock out Leeds. But if Chelsea were to go through, Chelsea against Leeds, we know Chelsea don't turn up in every game. They can be very inconsistent. Obviously, 11th in the league at the moment. Chelsea come into this game off the back of a home loss against Wolves, and Mateus Cunha hat-trick in that one. So it's definitely a tie in the 5th round that both teams will fancy, but it'll also be one that Leeds will relish and will go in as the underdogs and will try and get themselves through to the round after the 5th. So it's definitely going to be a game that both sides will want to win. Aston Villa didn't quite make it far in the League Cup. They were knocked out in the third round by Everton at home, But we know that, for the last 9 months that Villa Park has been an absolute fortress. They did win 15 in a row in the Premier League from February to December of 2023 before they drew with Sheffield United 1-1 back in the 22nd of December. They did lose one of their first games at Villa Park for a while, since February when they were beaten by Newcastle in January. But all in all, and on the whole, this stadium is usually a place where Villa love to play and love to pick up positive results. And it's going to be an uphill climb for Chelsea if they want to go through, but it's one they have to try and get past if possible. Both teams have gone pretty strong with their starting 11s, so there should be no excuses for the lack of quality on display tonight. And if you are new, if you could like and subscribe, that'd be absolutely fantastic. We're just under 4 minutes from kickoff. Both sides here are in the tunnel, as Aston Villa will be led out by John McGinn and Chelsea will be led out by Ben Chilwell, the number 21. We'll go through both teams now, and we'll start with the Aston Villa side. They make 2 changes from the game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the FA Cup. Emi Martinez remains in goal, Matty Cash still in as right back, and at left back is still Alex Moreno, as Lucas Digne is still out injured for Aston Villa. 2 centre halves is where one of the changes are, as Clement Lenglet remains in on loan from Barcelona, but Ezri Konsa, who's out of the matchday squad today, is replaced by Diego Carlos. 2 holding midfielders, Boubacar Kamara and Douglas Luiz, with 3 behind the striker. On the right is going to be John McGinn, who's featured in every game so far this season for Aston Villa in all competitions. On the left will be Leon Bailey, who's got 7 Premier League goals so far this season, 10 in all competitions. In behind the striker is going to be one-time FA Cup winner, and that's Yuri Tielemans. He scored the winning goal for Leicester in that FA Cup final against Chelsea back in May 2021. And leading the line up front is Ollie Watkins. He's got 16 goals in all competitions so far this season. That is the amount he got in the entirety of last season, so he's really showing how he stepped his game up even further, which is great for an England point of view with the Euros coming up at the end of the season. For Chelsea remains George Petrovic in goal, as Robert Sanchez still remains injured, the Spanish goalkeeper. Back 4 of Malo Gusto, and on the left is going to be Ben Chilwell, who's making his 98th appearance for Chelsea, and 2 centre-backs for Axel Disasi and Benoit Badiashile, both of those centre-backs signed from Monaco in 2023. 2 holding midfielders, one's going to be Moises Caicedo, who joined for £115 million in the summer. He has played every minute so far in the FA Cup for Chelsea this season. And next to him is going to be Enzo Fernandez, who made his 50th appearance at the weekend against Wolves for Chelsea. 3 behind the striker, Cole Palmer will play off the right. He's already got 12 in 26 for Chelsea since joining in the summer for £45 million. On the left is going to be Noni Madueke, who's making back-to-back starts in the FA Cup after starting against Villa at Stamford Bridge. And then Conor Gallagher will play behind the striker. He's still yet to score so far this season, and he's never scored in 8 previous games against Aston Villa. And up front leading the line, returning after the African Cup of Nations, is Senegalese striker Nicholas Jackson, who missed 6 games at AFCON. He's got the 8 goals so far this season, but only 1 in his last 9 played in the Premier League. They're both of the starting 11s for tonight at Villa Park in this FA Cup 4th round replay. This is the 165th meeting between the two sides. Aston Villa are unbeaten and have kept clean sheets in their last 3 games against Chelsea. That is more than they managed in their previous 26 against Chelsea. They only got 2 clean sheets in their previous 26 before this run of 3 clean sheets in a row. The last 0-0 between these two sides before the FA Cup 4th round game a couple of weeks ago was back in October 2010, so we don't usually get 0-0s in this game, but we have lacked goals in previous games between these two. The last 2 games this season have both been, obviously we had the 0-0 in the FA Cup, then we had only a 1-0 win for Villa in the Premier League as well, and last season we saw 2 away wins. In the Premier League, Aston Villa were beaten 2-0 here by Chelsea, a double from Mason Mount in October 2022, and then Aston Villa went to Stamford Bridge and won 2-0 themselves in early April, goals from Watkins and McGinn. So, usually these games between these two don't have loads of goals, and usually one of the 2 teams keeps a clean sheet. We will have to have a winner tonight, which is important to mention. Obviously, we will get a winner, and if it is level at full time, we will get extra time and penalties if necessary. as tonight's referee is Thomas Bramall, 34 years of age, worked as a PE teacher in Rotherham before becoming a professional referee, and he'll get us going here as Aston Villa kick off, kicking left to right. Chelsea right to left as we've gone to the right back of Matty Cash. Goes across to centre back Diego Carlos. It's now with left centre half Clement Longley. Into the goalkeeper of Emi Martinez, being closed down by Gallagher. Goes to his right to Carlos, inside to Kamara, then up to the right to Matty Cash, beating the press of Chelsea. Very calm and composed midfield work there from Boubacar Kamara, Aston Villa's number 44, whose only goal this season came in the League Cup in their defeat to Everton in the third round. As it is Aston Villa still on the ball, up to the left-hand side to Alex Moreno, and plays it down the line, looking for the run of McGinn, deep into the Chelsea half. He'll bounce Caicedo off him and work across on the byline. Floated in, header won by Bailey, drops in the box. It has to be cleared there by Badiashile. As it finds Jackson, nods it out to the left here to Conor Gallagher, driving towards this near side. Got the overlap of Chilwell, finds the former Leicester fullback, then into the space for Jackson, in behind Cash. Into the final third here, Chelsea. Into the area, Nicholas Jackson. Onto his right foot, can't quite work a shot as he's been tackled by Kamara. And Kamara was fouled there by Jackson. And there'll be a free kick for Aston Villa. Quick start for both sides. Decent cross from the left flank for McGinn. Bailey won the header, but it was blocked before it could get to the goalkeeper. And then Nicholas Jackson was found in a lot of space down Chelsea's left by Ben Chilwell, but couldn't quite work the shot as he entered the box. He was doubled up on there by Cash and Kamara. As from the free kick, Martinez goes short to left centre-back of Clement Longley. He was obviously spent the last 2 years on loan in England from Barcelona. Spent last season at Spurs under Antonio Conte. There's Cash, forward to Bailey, touches it away from Disasi. He's got McGinn to his left, finds the Scotsman. Here is John McGinn on the edge of the 18-yard box. He's got the run of Moreno, doesn't use him, goes back across to his right to Louise, who's going to play it out to the right to Cash in the area. Chilwell's in front of him, but he can clip across to the far post where Moreno heads it across. It goes behind Watkins and dealt with by Badiashile. The flag had stayed down there from the pass to Alex Moreno. It looked like Chelsea defenders were almost waiting for the flag to go up, but it never arrived, and it will be Aston Villa to continue in possession in the centre circle with Diego Carlos. They do have a returning Pau Torres on the bench tonight, Aston Villa, which is a big plus because the Spanish centre-back who was signed in the summer from Villarreal has missed the last 5 with an injury, but he's on the bench tonight. But they have had to deal with Clement Longley, who started all of the last 6 Premier League games, and that's all of the Premier League games he played this season. Clement Longley. As Aston Villa eventually lose the possession here, trying to go out wide left to Moreno, and he was onside from that Matty Cash cross. It was a right decision to keep the flag down. Obviously, we do have VAR tonight with Peter Banks. As Bailey's ball into the area, looking for Tielemans, just slightly overhit, and in behind for a goal kick for Chelsea. Being applauded there, the work by Unai Emery, who's taking charge of his 62nd game of Aston Villa, joined in October 2022 after the dismissal of Steven Gerrard, who survived at the club for not even a year. He was brought in November 21 and was sacked in the October of 22. As it's Moises Caicedo for Chelsea, into the space for Enzo Fernandez, who's peeled out to this near side, charging forward, playing it into Nicholas Jackson, who's in the left wing position, midway side the Aston Villa half. He's got options to his right, finds Gallagher. Chilwell now getting forward, and he'll be found here, the Chelsea captain, as the pass deflects off Chilwell by Jackson, and then they pull down Bailey, and that'll be a free kick for Aston Villa. Bit unfortunate there from Chelsea. Nicholas Jackson was trying to pass it back to Gallagher, but Chilwell was making a run forward, and he passed it off Chilwell instead, which meant the ball dropped to Bailey, who then was dragged down for a free kick. And it's Aston Villa on the ball in their 18-yard box with FA Cup winner Emi Martinez. And he won the FA Cup back in the COVID season in 2020 after beating Chelsea in the final. It was behind closed doors, but that doesn't take away the fact that he has won an FA Cup, Emi Martinez, and then gained his move to Aston Villa after having that good end to the season at Arsenal after the injury of Bernd Leno. And Aston Villa go down the left-hand side. Petrovic comes far out of his area to clear the ball as Watkins was trying to get on the end of it. It's brought down by Palmer. Picked up by Tielemans in the midfield for Villa. Diego Carlos slams it out to the right-hand side. It's a high ball. It's controlled by Bailey. Again, he goes down over the challenger, Chilwell. Not enough in it for a free kick. And it'll be a throw-in for Chelsea, taken quickly to Badiashile. So now Caicedo turns beautifully on Diego Carlos and enters the... Douglas Luiz, and enters the centre circle. Then plays out to the right to Gusto. Into the path of Madueke, who's running at Alex Moreno here. Left-footed ball inside. Poked on by Palmer. He nearly found the run of Gallagher in the 6-yard box, but it fell into the very thankful hands of Emi Martinez. Decent play there from Chelsea. They're working it quickly down the flanks. That time Madueke putting the cross in, and it was just poked forward by Palmer, who was stretching for it. Not quite sure if he was going for a pass or a shot, but he did well to get on the end of the cross because it was just a bit too far in front of him, hence why he needed to stretch ever so slightly. As Villa have gone long here, Watkins is chasing it. Disasi will get there first, plays it down the line, finding Madueke. 1-2 with Caicedo. Going back towards his own 18-yard box, finds the pass to Gusto. That's now with the goalkeeper, George Petrovic. The 24-year-old Serbian goalkeeper who has got a contract at Chelsea till 2030 with a year extension option if they want to pull that trigger in 6 years' time. Ridiculous the size of contracts those Chelsea players have got, as Enzo Fernandez, who's on a huge contract himself, switches out to the right to Gusto. But we have, well, I've heard in the online recently, Enzo Fernandez is looking to move on from Chelsea, but it's obviously going to be hard work to do that with the length of his contract. Signed for over £100 million, Enzo Fernandez, after the World Cup win in Qatar. As he did start 5 of the 7 World Cup games for Argentina, Enzo Fernandez, who's got the ball here on the byline, just about keeps it in. He's got Bailey on his back, tries to turn the Jamaican, who pokes it away from him, and it'll be a corner for Chelsea on the near side. Well won there from Enzo Fernandez. And to be fair, it's good defensive work from Leon Bailey. Almost doing a fullback's work there. The former Leverkusen winger, who was brought in for quite a fee himself, Leon Bailey, in August 2021. £30 million it was. And he's really starting to perform for Aston Villa, more so this season after a bit of work under Unai Emery. But it'll be an outswinger from Chilwell with his left foot. It's a deeper one towards the far post. Header won by Carlos, still alive in the area for Madueke. Finds Badiashile, whose header goes straight into the hands of into Martinez. I don't know if it was Fernandez or Badiashile who won that header. Madueke won the original one, and it was actually Enzo Fernandez who won the header in the end. I think Badiashile just missed it, and it was Enzo Fernandez to head the ball forward, but it's straight at Martinez. Bit of a half chance there for Chelsea, as I think Aston Villa went long there. They were showing a replay, but it looks like they've gone long and lost possession for a throw-in. And Unai Emery was quick to alert his team just to calm down and relax. It came off a Chelsea player first, so they have won a throw-in midway side of the Chelsea half on the far side. But that was very animated for Unai Emery to tell his team just to relax and don't need to force any of the play here because they are strong enough to go through this Chelsea team. As they've got it to this near side to Matty Cash on the halfway line. Loads of time on the ball here. He'll be slowly pressed by Nicholas Jackson, who looks like he's going to be playing a left wing position. The Senegalese, usually a striker. So I think it'll be Palmer as the striker, Madueke on the right, and then Nicholas Jackson on the left as the ball out to the left has been dummied by McGinn to find Moreno. He's going to go for an early cross, well blocked there by the sliding Gusto. And it's a throw-in again for Aston Villa in the final third. Thrown into Douglas Luiz. Forward for McGinn. Looks for Moreno. Cut out by Madueke. Caicedo caught by McGinn from behind. And that'll be a free kick for Chelsea on the edge of the 18-yard box. Well won by Caicedo. Just a late challenge there by John McGinn, who has won a Scottish Cup in his career in 2016 with Hibernian. That's his only cup success. I know he'd also won a League Cup in Scotland as well, John McGinn, as he's not played many times in the FA Cup. This is his 5th appearance in the competition. He's never scored in it. John McGinn, Aston Villa's captain, signed for only £2 million from Hibernian. What a signing that is for Aston Villa, as it's Chelsea to build out from the back in their own half with Badiashile. It's now across to Axel Disasi, who scored his second Chelsea goal recently in the Cup, and that was the Carabao Cup against Middlesbrough in the second leg in the first half. It's under 10 minutes in here. We've not had many huge chances. We've more just had half chances. Aston Villa yet to really work George Petrovic and the Chelsea goals. It's still the away side in possession here with Badiashile being forced to go backwards after being pressed by Yuri Tielemans, and it's now with the goalkeeper Petrovic. Disasi. Aston Villa pressing in a 4-4-2 shape with Watkins and Tielemans the front two, and then McGinn on the left, Bailey on the right, and then the two central midfielders of Louise and Kamara. Badiashile forward to Jackson, lets it run through, but it's blocked off by Carlos. It's now with Kamara, trying to find Cash on halfway, cut out by Chilwell. Fernandez to Gallagher, back out wide left here to Nicholas Jackson, who's one-on-one with Diego Carlos as he enters the area, goes on the outside, puts it across, finds Madueke, back to goal. Gallagher! Top left corner, what a finish that is, and Chelsea have the lead. It's been a very positive start for Chelsea. I've really liked the way they've attacked this Aston Villa side early on. Working it well down both flanks. Mainly down the left though. That's where most of the danger has come from. And it's only took him till February, but Conor Gallagher finally has his first goal of the season. It's his first ever goal as well in the FA Cup. It was well won on halfway by Chilwell. Then Fernandez inside to Gallagher, who got it to Jackson out wide, who was only thinking of running at the Aston Villa defence. And with his pullback, found Madueke, who was looking away from goal. And he had a Villa defender on his back, so I had to find a pass. And it was Gallagher who he found. And from around 12 yards out, he hit that ball straight as an arrow into the top left corner. With that right foot, with the inside of his boot, just arrowed into that top left corner. It was almost an impossible shot for Martinez to save. And on the balance of play, Chelsea probably deserve that. And at Villa Park in this FA Cup 4th round replay, it's Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 1. Really positive start from Chelsea. They've not been fazed by this Aston Villa side, who are usually so good at home, as they're going to try and get an equaliser as soon as possible. Cross goes in. Bailey shoots. Comes off Badiashile. Back towards Bailey. Badiashile can't clear it. Bailey again shoots towards goal, and it's straight at Petrovic. And it's still Chelsea in the lead. McGinn worked it down the line to Moreno. Burst into the space. Madueke tried to get back. Couldn't stop the cross. It fell to Bailey, whose first shot was blocked by Badiashile. Then he scurried to clear it, but couldn't quite do so near the penalty spot. And it eventually dropped to Bailey again, whose shot went through the defenders and into Petrovic as Villa have won it back. Watkins with the shot on the angle with his left foot, palmed over the crossbar by the goalkeeper. It's been a very good response here from Aston Villa. Not quite sure how they won the ball there. They were showing replays of the Bailey strike, and that one from Watkins, it was hit with some venom, and it was just pushed over the crossbar by Petrovic. They couldn't really do much more with it. It was hit with so much power. So it'll be John McGinn to take it. In swinger with his left foot. He goes out towards the edge of the box, but it's a misplaced pass, and the counter-attack could be on. Gusto bringing it away. Nicholas Jackson takes over. Crossing the halfway line, playing out to the left to Gusto, who's usually a right back, but he's playing left wing as he tries to go for an early cross. It's too close to Martinez, who can catch it in the 6-yard area. I say catch it, he just gets down low to collect it. And it's an Aston Villa ball. That could have been so much more for Chelsea, who haven't won in their last 3 in all competitions, losing their last 2. Most recently against Wolves at home at the weekend. But before that 3 without a win, they had only lost 1 of the last 6 before that. They haven't been doing too badly, really, recently. Chelsea, they've got 4 wins in their last 7 Premier League games. But away from home, they have only won 4 of their 11 Premier League games, most recently in December against Luton. And they have lost 5 of their last 6 away games in the Premier League. So in terms of numbers on paper, probably doesn't look like a favourable game for Chelsea, but they've really gone for it in the opening 14 minutes. Not like gone for it and they've left themselves open, but they've just attacked with purpose. They've not seemed worried about losing the ball or anything like that. They've just attacked wanting to score, because a lot of teams attack just not wanting to concede if they lose it, which can always make the attacks a little less dangerous. As Villa clear up the field with Martinez, header won by Louise, caught by Caicedo, and that will be a free kick. The referee tried to let play carry on, but Tielemans couldn't keep it away from Fernandez, so it will be a free kick for Aston Villa. Midway inside their own half, it will be taken by centre-half Clement Longley. whose first ever appearance against Chelsea came in the FA Cup, where he played the full 90 minutes at Stamford Bridge. As they get out to his near side, Matty Cash, about 15 yards inside the Chelsea half, goes back into the Villa half with Kamara. Being pressed by Gallagher, so goes across here to Diego Carlos. All Chelsea plays behind the ball as Carlos fires it over the top here, looking for Matty Cash, who does have a good amount of pace, but the ball bounces off the turf, which takes it away from the full-back, so it'll be a throw in for Chelsea in the left-back area towards the corner flag, so they're deep in their own half here, so they don't really want to lose the ball to Aston Villa, who can be very clinical when they're attacking, because they are known for their quick counter-attacking play. Chilwell's throw-in is flicked on by Jackson, drops for Carlos, who's been forced to go all the way back to Martinez in the Aston Villa half. Again, good press there from Conor Gallagher. Martinez just keeping the ball here. No one's closing him down. He's just waiting for Aston Villa to get back into their positions. It's now with Moreno at left back. Into McGinn. Still in the Aston Villa half. Try to turn away from Gusto. McGinn goes inside to Tielemans. Not a great pass. Picked up by Fernandes. 1-2 with Gallagher. Enzo Fernandes bringing it away. Playing it out to the right to Palmer. Not sure if he's timed his run, but the flag will stay down for the moment. Palmer on the angle. Plays it inside towards Madueke. Can't quite control it. The clearance goes only as far as Gusto. The flag stays down here from the linesman, so it'll be Cole Palmer to get away from Longley. On the touchline, towards the byline, he's forced to go backwards here to Gusto. Midway side the Villa half on the far side here. Gusto goes to the halfway line to Disasi, so Chelsea can keep possession, but they've had to retreat there from inside the 18-yard box. Gusto, who was sent off in the Premier League game between these two in this season, which made it easier for Aston Villa to pick up the 1-0 win at Stamford Bridge. Watkins winner. Badiashile lifts it out to the left to Chilwell. It's a pin, perfect ball. Down the line to Jackson. He's onside in the area on a tight angle, so the only option's a cross, which he does, and he lifts it into Madueke, whose volley doesn't quite catch it, and it's straight into the hands of Martinez. Didn't really seem like Madueke decided what he wanted to do, if he wanted to try and volley it with a shot or maybe volley it with a pass. He kind of got caught in between two minds, and it was a pretty timid effort in the end, which was dealt with by Martinez. And it's now with Aston Villa, with their right centre-back of Diego Carlos, who was a late sub in the previous game between these two in the FA Cup, and that's his only ever FA Cup appearance in his career. Diego Carlos, as the ball goes over the top towards Bailey, well cut out by the header Chilwell. Diving header in the 18-yard box to get it back to his goalkeeper. He's looked sharp in the opening 17 and a half minutes, Ben Chilwell. That's Madueke. Can keep it in, but it falls straight to McGinn. It's now Longley in the Chelsea half. Goes back to Kamara on halfway. Closed down by Palmer. To find Diego Carlos in the centre circle. He's assessing his options. He keeps it simple to right back Cash. And across once again to Carlos. Kamara, touch away from Jackson. And then brought down by Gallagher, but not seen as enough for a free kick. And Chelsea again can break. Madueke on the right, entering the box on his left foot. He's allowed to strike it, but he does not get his foot around it. Completely miscues it, and he's annoyed with himself there, Madueke. Kamara gives it away. Jackson had a little pull of the shirt, but I don't think it was enough for him to go down and for a free kick to be given. So Chelsea quickly got on the bikes and counter-attack quickly. Madueke, if he just wrapped his foot around it, that could have been a dangerous strike. Longley wasn't really rushing to close him down. Big chance really there for Madueke, the number 11 for Chelsea, who was at Palace and Spurs during his youth days before finding adventures elsewhere in Europe with PSV, before returning to England with Chelsea last January. It's Chelsea back in possession. Caicedo on halfway, just about keeping it away from Luiz and working a good 1-2 there with Enzo Fernandes. Isn't it ridiculous, though, that them two players on their own are over £200 million in transfer fees? Caicedo and Fernandes, both of South America. This team is just so expensive in general for Chelsea. And it's so young. And it's even younger without Thiago Silva, who's on the bench tonight for Chelsea, along with another experienced head of Raheem Sterling. Them two are both on their bench tonight for Chelsea. As Gusto over the top, down the right from Madueke, touches it down beautifully away from Moreno. Now he can run at the Spanish fullback. He's got Gusto overlapping. He feeds him. He crosses it. Bailey volleys away though for Aston Villa, but it's helped forward by Disasi, chested down by Caicedo. It's now with the goal scorer Gallagher. Madueke back into the centre circle with Badiashile. Forward for Enzo Fernandez and out to the left back of Chilwell towards the halfway line. Forced to go back to Petrovic, the goalkeeper, as he was being closed down by Leon Bailey. It's now to the right centre-back, the 25-year-old Axel Disasi, £38.5 million his fee from Monaco in the summer. Scored on his debut against Liverpool at home in the Premier League. As he plays a pass forward into Madueke, the Aston Villa defence drop off, and this gave Madueke a bit of time and space to run forward here. Lays off to Gusto, cross goes in, header won by Jackson. And this is a perfect away performance from Chelsea in the opening 20 minutes. They doubled their lead, and after missing 6 games in all competitions due to his involvement in the African Cup of Nations, Nicholas Jackson scores once again for Chelsea. It's his 9th of the season. He's close to double figures. And Aston Villa, who are playing a full-strength team, just cannot handle Chelsea at this given moment. It's so well worked. They find it out to the right-hand side. Disasi went forward to Madueke, and as I said, the defence of Villa just dropped off, which allowed Madueke to bring it forward into the path of Gusto in the final third, who just curled in a beautiful cross, and Jackson got in between Carlos and Cash, and all on his own. He had a free header about 8 yards out, and like all good strikers know how to do, he headed it into the ground, bounced into the bottom left corner. Once again, no chance for Emi Martinez in the Aston Villa goal. It's a brilliant header from Nicholas Jackson. It really is. Into the ground, zipped off the turf. And here at Villa Park, in this FA Cup 4th round replay, it is Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 2. I did not expect this, but Chelsea are they have more than earned this 2-0 lead. They've been fantastic so far. I said they've been fantastic when they went 1-0 up in the 10th minute, but they've got even better from then until the 20th minute, where they've got that second goal. And that gap between midfield and defence for Villa was far too big there. That's why the Aston Villa defence dropped off, because Madueke got in between the lines, but the gap in between the lines was so big, he just had loads of room to run into. It was a good weighted pass as well, though, from Madueke into Gusto, who could then just run onto the ball and cross it first time. As Enzo Fernandez switched out to the right, bounces over the head of Moreno, and Gusto's in again, in the area. The cutback needs to be right. He looks for Fernandez. It's a short one. It's cut out by Diego Carlos on the penalty spot, cleared to McGinn on the left. Could have been a third there as McGinn goes behind Luiz. Chelsea try and get it through towards Palmer, but it's overhit and the ball goes through for Martinez. But for Aston Villa, this is not the start they expected. They are usually so good at home. They were 15 wins in a row in the Premier League at home from February to December of last year. But they have started to hit a bit of poor form at home in the league. They've only won one of their last 3 at home in the Premier League, losing to the likes of Newcastle, then drawing to Sheffield United before New Year. They don't usually do well in the FA Cup, Aston Villa. Mentioned it before, but they have been knocked out in the 3rd round in the last 7 seasons before this campaign, where they've got to the 4th round. It's Leon Bailey, ball over the top for Watkins, who will get onto the ball. He's out. He's been forced out wide by Disasi. He's outside the 18-yard area at the moment. Bailey's been found. Crosses it to the far post. Luiz nods it in towards McGinn, blocked by Gusto. He eventually clears it forward, up towards Palmer, but it will go through to the halfway line here to Langley. And Aston Villa can try and attack once again, as it's with number 3, Diego Carlos, a Europa League winner under Julian Lopetegui at Sevilla. As Leon Bailey, one-on-one with Chilwell in the final third here, lifts it through for Cash. What a pass that is. He's in the area, needs to get the cross right if he can. He's been closed down by Badiashile, tries to move it back to Bailey, but he overruns it in the end, and it'll be I think it's an offside that's been given. As Bailey played it through to Cash, he'd just gone offside. It's a good ball from Bailey, outside of the boot. I don't know how he's been able to dig the ball from under his foot to Trivella that and to find Cash, but the fullback had just gone early, so it'll be a free kick for Chelsea through an offside. But There is Unai Emery looking on. This is the 10th time he's facing Chelsea as a manager. He's won 3, drawn 2 and lost 4. He's faced them twice when he was at Valencia in 2011 in Europe, and also faced them twice in finals. Once against Arsenal in the Europa League, and then as Villarreal manager in the Super Cup a couple of seasons ago. So he has got history against Chelsea. Unai Emery, as it's a free kick for Chelsea in a right-back position where Cole Palmer has been brought down by Ollie Watkins. And you would think those are two players that are going to be on the plane in the summer for Gareth Southgate in the Euros squad. Combined, the two of them have scored 28 goals altogether in all competitions. Watkins with 16 and Cole Palmer with 12 for Chelsea, but 14 if you include his City goal, so 30 between the two of them this season. Chelsea switched it to the near side here to Jackson, back into Badiashile on the edge of the area, lifts it through for Fernandez, who's just peeled out to this left-hand side, drives forward, plays it into Chilwell. And the ball's on down the line again for Jackson, and they find him in the final third, outside the area at the moment, running at Carlos, enters the box, goes on the outside, just runs out of room though. And it'll be a goal kick for Aston Villa. Unfortunate there from Nicholas Jackson, who's had a good start out wide left for Chelsea tonight. Try to go around the outside of Diego Carlos, but just ran out of room. These two sides have met in the FA Cup final before, back in 2000 at the old Wembley. It was a 1-0 win for Chelsea, a winner from Roberto Di Matteo in the 73rd minute, and it was actually the last FA Cup final which was played at the old Wembley. That is one FA Cup that Chelsea won, and in their history they have won 6. They've won 8 FA Cups in their history, 6 of them in this century. As again, Aston Villa give it away. Kamara on halfway to Madueke, centre of the field. It's just sloppy from Aston Villa. It's not usually like them to be bad with their passing play. As Chelsea have been forced back to the goalkeeper Petrovic in a full yellow strip tonight. Disarcy at right centre-back, forward to Madueke, keeps it for Chelsea as he was being fouled, as he was being challenged there by Moreno. It's now Gusto driving inside and playing it across to Fernandez. His touch isn't great, so it forces him back here, but he can keep the ball moving forward to Chilwell on this near side. Gallagher back into Fernandez, almost playing as a bit of a deep line playmaker here, just in front of the defence, Enzo Fernandez. As he goes into the centre-back of Badiashile, midway inside the Chelsea half, he goes across to Disarcy. He'll bring it forward, plays a pass looking for Gallagher, cut out by Luiz. He turns twice on Madueke and keeps the ball in and finds left-back Alex Moreno, who spent a year at Barcelona, Alex Moreno, from 2011 to 2012, and this is his first ever time moving away from Spain in his footballing career. The 30-year-old who joined last January from Betis, Emery's first signing, for £12.5 million. As again, they've given it away, Kamara for Chilwell. 1-2 with Gallagher. Chilwell now in a left wing position in the final third. He's got Tielemans with him. He gets it through the legs of the Belgian, but the cross goes to Diego Carlos, who fires it out wide right to Bailey. He's been forced to go backwards himself here to Matty Cash because there was no options going forward. It's now on the edge of the area with Douglas Luiz. Gallagher's near to him, but not really closing him down, just moving it across to the left now to Longley. For Moreno, just about keeps it away from Gusto, but the touch down the line won't reach Watkins. It'll be cleaned up by Disarcy. And it's back into the 18-yard area to Petrovic through Caicedo. Badiashile now on the ball. To left-back Chilwell in the defensive third. Inside to Caicedo again, who can charge away from... He tried to charge away from Watkins, but it goes down over the challenge of the former Brentford striker, and Chelsea pay it quickly and switch it out to the right-hand side here to Gusto. Forward for Madueke, about 10 yards inside the Villa half. Gets away from McGinn. He's got the run of Palmer to his right, and he finds him. Here is Cole Palmer, onto his left foot, trying to play a ball through for Gallagher, which took a deflection. I was going to say that's unlike Cole Palmer to play such a misplaced pass, but it took a deflection, so it'll be a corner for Chelsea on the far side. And I don't know if this was maybe Aston Villa being slightly naive and not expecting such a strong performance from Chelsea, but it's been near perfect so far from a Chelsea side that is obviously so young, with the fact that they just haven't brought in many older players. The oldest player on the pitch tonight for Chelsea is their captain, Ben Chilwell, at 27. The youngest after Chilwell is Disasi at 25. It just shows you how young this Chelsea side is. As the captain takes the corner, in swinger, header won by Longley, still alive in the area, heads it away a second time, nodded down by Bailey to Moreno, back into Bailey again, trying to work away from Gallagher, who tackles him fairly, wins the ball, and Chelsea can continue their attack. Madueke running into the area, playing it through towards Gallagher, comes off the foot of Moreno, and it'll be another corner for Chelsea. They were asking for that free kick there, Aston Villa, on Leon Bailey, but it looked like... I think Gallagher got a bit of both there. Did get the ball, but also took a bit of the man as well. But the referee didn't give it, so Aston Villa have to deal with that. And they've got to defend another corner. Can they get this one right? They've already scored one header through Nicholas Jackson 10 minutes ago. Can they score a second? It'll be Chilwell to go short to Palmer, then back into Chilwell on the angle, into Gallagher. Messed this up a little bit, Chelsea, but they keep it working with Chilwell, who bursts away from Bailey. Chilwell fancies the shot, but he drags it wide of the bottom right corner. Corner that was not really successful. I mean, they were able to work a shot at the end of it, but the corners, you've just got to put them in the box at some point. Just put the defence under a bit of pressure, but they decided to try and go short and go fancy. And it's not resulted in a goal for Chelsea, but they don't need many more goals. They've already got the 2 tonight so far. But the last 3 games between these two have been at Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea haven't won any of them. As Moreno's pass inside comes off Gusto, and he can keep the ball in on the far side, then goes into Caicedo. Now Enzo Fernandez forward to Gallagher on halfway. Madueke is away on the right hand side, and he finds him. Curling ball, which will be kept in by the former PSV winger. He's 1-on-1 with McGinn, slows it down, goes to the edge of the box to Gallagher, out to the right to Gusto. Just slowed the game down here, Chelsea, because obviously they don't need to panic or rush or force anything with a 2-goal lead. Oh, it's a short ball, though, from Badiashile. Enzo Fernandez pickpocketed, and it's now with Leon Bailey, who again slows it down, and Aston Villa will just restart at the back with Diego Carlos, who goes out wide over the top to the left, looking for Watkins. It's nowhere near Aston Villa's number 11. It'll go straight out for a throw-in for Chelsea. Again, just shows that bit of panic at the moment for Aston Villa. It was such an unnecessary ball from Diego Carlos. Unai Emery does not look very happy. That's from that far side. Chelsea foul Aston Villa from the throw-in. They try and take it quickly, Aston Villa, but it was quite a bit away from where the original foul had come from. McGinn will take it quickly again from where it should be taken, but the referee wasn't ready for play to carry on. So we'll eventually get the free kick taken here. And it looks like Aston Villa are going to set up. It's on the far left-hand side, and it's quite far from goal, so it's going to have to be a cross into the box for Aston Villa. Chelsea's line is just about 5 yards in front of the 18-yard box. So Aston Villa have got to time their runs right here. McGinn's standing in an offside position, and so is Bailey. But they've got Longley up there from the back. Carlos as well. Cross goes in by Louise. Header won by Badiashile. It will go through towards Watkins, who loses out to Madueke. He'll try and storm down the right-hand side. He can get away from Watkins and around Louise. This is some running from Madueke. He's got Palmer to his right. Jackson to the left. He finds Palmer in the area. Onto his left foot. Can he strike it? He can. It's parried by Martinez, then volleyed by Cash. And Chelsea tonight have been absolutely superb. That is brilliant running from Noni Madueke on the Chelsea right to really spring that counter-attack on Aston Villa. And they just seem so calm at the moment, Chelsea. You know, they've showing that they shouldn't be 11th place in the league. They're playing like a top 4 side at the moment. There's Palmer's low ball into the area, cut out by Carlos to avoid the ball to Fernandez, but he's only put it out for another corner. And you feel like with the amount of corners that they're conceding at the moment, it's only a matter of time until Chelsea take the chance to score from one of them, but it was marauding running from Madueke, and he was able to find Palmer, who eventually got the shot off but couldn't quite work it beyond Martinez. As Cole Palmer was on the bench for Manchester City in their FA Cup final last season, did score in that FA Cup run in the quarter-final stage to Burnley. So with Chilwell to put this directly into the box. It floats in the air. Badiashile's header's blocked. Drops to Caicedo, scuffs a shot. Madueke dispossessed by Luiz. Goes through for Bailey. And can Aston Villa counter-attack? No, they can't. It's been stopped in its tracks quickly by the slide tackler Gallagher. And now Kamara has been forced to the edge of the box to Carlos. And Chelsea can get their players back. And Aston Villa will have to start from scratch. Less than 10 minutes of the 45 to play here in the first half. It's Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 2. And Aston Villa just haven't got going tonight at all. Longley, forward to McGinn, then into Moreno. Good ball here, midway side the Chelsea half. Moreno is one-on-one with Gusto. He's going to be forced to go backwards here. Good defending from Gusto to make sure Moreno couldn't get away from him. It's now with Kamara. 5 yards in front of the halfway line. Chelsea have got everyone behind the ball at the moment. Switched out to the left by Carlos. That one nearly works. Again, the bounce just added extra pace and it just went in front of Moreno. But he's trying that so many times here. And I think Unai Emery's telling Diego Carlos to do the extra pass. Carlos is trying to do it all in one with those diagonal switches. And I think Emery's telling him, go wide. And then those wide players can then go play it forward instead of trying to do it all in one with the diagonal switches. That's from the throw-in. Gusto loses out to McGinn. Cross into the area for Tielemans. Turns away from Fernandes. Trying to work across, but it's really well defended there by Enzo Fernandez, who can't quite keep it in. So what's he given? He was battling with Yuri Tielemans. And the last touch came off Fernandes there, yeah. Did come off Enzo Fernandez. So it will be a corner here for Aston Villa. It'll be an in-swinger from Douglas Luiz, who actually scored directly from a corner last season in the League Cup away at Bolton. He'll cross it into the near post, flicked on by Watkins. It goes all the way through towards the far post where it's controlled by Gusto, and he will sprint away with the ball. Being chased down by Diego Carlos. He's still running with him, and Gusto still has it, and he's brought down in the end by Diego Carlos. And that's got to be a free kick, hasn't it, for Chelsea? Yep, given by Thomas Bramall. Good running there from Gusto. Who I do like whenever I've seen Paulo Gusto. He seems like a really good, promising fullback. Only 20 years of age. Brought in last January from Lyon, but then stayed at Lyon until the end of the season. So it's a yellow card as well for Diego Carlos, who's not had his greatest first halves. The former Sevilla centre-back. So a free kick here for Chelsea. And they'll play it back with Chilwell to Badiashile in the Chelsea half. It's now Caicedo. He's just sat in between the two centre-backs at the moment. Forward to Enzo Fernandez. Curls it out wide right first time to Gusto, who controls it, keeps it away from McGinn. Then goes forward to Gallagher, who gets in between the lines again. Shoved down to the ground, but he's played it to Madueke. So play will continue. On the far side for Chelsea, back to Gusto. Halfway line again now with Disasi. Number 25, Caicedo's on it. Who's never won against Aston Villa as a ball down the line for Chilwell, asking a bit too much of the left back, and it goes all the way through for a goal kick. That's how far forward that pass was made. But for Chelsea, they've actually got a really good record in replays. They have progressed from 8 of their last 9 FA Cup replays. This is their first replay since 2017-2018 when they had to go to a replay against Norwich. The last time they were eliminated in a replay was against Everton in 2011 in the 4th round. So they do usually favour a replay, Chelsea, historically. Matty Cash with a throw in here for Aston Villa on this near side. In the final third, you could throw it into the box, which is flicked on by Bailey. Header won by Caicedo, and then again by Fernandes. Headed forward by Carlos, met by Chilwell. Jackson goes behind Palmer with his header, and then Luiz out wide right to Bailey. Volleyed away by Chilwell, straight through from Martinez in the Aston Villa half. Longley. Bringing it forward, overrunning it. Kicks it off Madueke. Throw in for Aston Villa, about 15 yards inside the Chelsea half, as the away team are just trying to get this 2-0 lead into half-time. Don't want to allow Aston Villa to creep back in the game before the break. Moreno's throwing down the line to Watkins, right on the corner flag now. He's got Disasi and Gusto next to him, and he can kick it off Disasi for a throw-in. Obviously, I think he would have preferred the corner there, Watkins, but it's a throw-in deep in the Chelsea half for Aston Villa, who are really struggling to work. George Petrovic in the Chelsea goal. They're not in great form, though, Aston Villa, really. 3 wins from the last 10 in all competitions, as Alex Moreno struggling to take this throw-in because there's a lack of movement. Throws it towards Watkins, heads it inside for Tielemans, who flicks it on once more himself. Headed away by Badiashile. It's a looper. Flicked on by Gallagher. Controlled by Moreno. Straight back to Gallagher, who's then tripped by the Spanish left-back. And it's a free kick for Chelsea. Just seems like nothing's really going Aston Villa's way at the moment, and that is not me taking anything away from Chelsea's performance, because they've been fantastic and they've been forcing Aston Villa to look poor because Chelsea have been on it so much. Chelsea play out from the back. Badiashile forward to Gallagher, finds Caicedo, then into Jackson. He's just drifted into a central area, then out to the right here to Madueke. They've worked really well together, Madueke and Cole Palmer. Palmer is an option to his right. Goes back to Gusto instead. Then through to Palmer on this far side. Back into Gusto, about 25 yards from goal. On the angle. Works it to Palmer. And then back into Disasi. All Chelsea outfield players behind in the Aston Villa half at the moment. Enzo Fernandez been forced to go back into his own half here with Badiashile, who's been followed there from behind by an Aston Villa player. Gallagher, back to Caicedo. It's now to Badiashile. Forward to Gallagher. Then back to Caicedo. Bit of build-up play in the Chelsea half here, as Aston Villa are trying to push up the pitch as much as possible. Gallagher, back to the goalkeeper, Petrovic. Then to the left, here to Badiashile. Left back Chilwell. Being closed down slowly by Bailey. So he can play a ball down the left to Jackson, who's pulled down there by Carlos. Not seen as a foul, though, by the referee, which I'm surprised about. I thought there was a bit too much pulling there from Diego Carlos, but nothing given by the referee. So it'll be Villa on the ball on this right-hand side with Bailey. Being forced to go back to his own half here because he's been closed down by Chilwell, who has too much of a pull. And that time it's a free kick. Bit confused there, because I don't think there was much difference between that one and Diego Carlos and his pull on Jackson. And I'm not saying that one isn't a foul, I'm saying both should have been a free kick. Chilwell just getting a bit too aggressive on Leon Bailey, pulling the shirt. There's Longley into the space for Moreno, midway side the Chelsea half on the far side, driving inside himself, laying it off to Luiz behind him. Finds Tielemans, trying to go through to Moreno in the box, cut out by Gusto, sprinting out to the right back position where he can clip it down the line. Can't find Madueke, too much weight on the pass. Longley forward to McGinn. Through towards Moreno, cut out by Disasi, not a great pass from McGinn. Caicedo lifts it to Madueke, returns it to the Ecuadorian, and he gets away from Luiz before being brought down, and that'll be a free kick on halfway on that far side for Chelsea. I think he's performed really well in that midfield, Moises Caicedo, which you'd expect from a player who cost you 115 million. He did reach the semi-finals last season, Caicedo, at Brighton, when they were beaten on penalties by Manchester United. 0-0 that game ended after 120 minutes. As we're closing in on half-time here at Villa Park, and it's Chelsea who lead by 2-0. They haven't won against Aston Villa since their win here in the Premier League last season. That one was also 2-0 in October 2022. Mount with two goals. As it's a free kick for Chelsea again in the centre circle. Jackson being fouled, I think, there by McGinn. Chelsea will take their time with this. Don't need to rush anything. Plays it back here to Caicedo. Now Fernandez, back to Caicedo again. Centre of the pitch. Goes to his left to Badiashile in the Chelsea half. Then forward, over the top again. Too far forward for Chilwell to chase. No point in him going after that one. It was always going to go through to the goalkeeper of Emi Martinez. Now midway side the Aston Villa half with Douglas Luiz. Gallagher, he was just coming up behind him, but he can shift it to Longley. And he goes across to Carlos. Cash on the ball. Turns to go forward. No options on for him, so he goes back to Carlos. Still in the Aston Villa half here as the fourth official, Anthony Taylor, will indicate the time added on. And that time, I'm not sure what it'll be, but Moreno will cross. Comes off Gusto. Back off Moreno. Goal kick for Chelsea. It just shows that it's not going Aston Villa's way at the moment, as we've had 2 minutes of added on time indicated. In a half that's been very frustrating for Aston Villa. Chelsea have had more of the possession. Aston Villa have only worked 2 shots on target in this opening 45. Thank you to everyone who has liked and subscribed. That is really appreciated. Good amount of people in here. As Petrovic clears it out to the Chelsea left. Comes off the top of the head of Bailey. It's a throw-in for the away side. On this near side with number 21, Ben Chilwell, who does have 1 goal previously against Aston Villa as he foul throws it there, Ben Chilwell, but not your usual foul throw. It actually slipped out of his hands, and they want to take it quickly. Cash with a huge throwing down the line for Watkins, who can get away from Badiashile. Watkins on the edge of the area, playing it across to his left to McGinn, who hits it first time. And it's took a nick off the gloves of the goalkeeper, and it will be a corner. A huge mess up there from Chilwell, who went to throw it, and then thought about not throwing it, but before he could stop it from coming out of his hands, it just slipped out, and it was a throw-in then for Aston Villa, thrown very far down that line by Cash, through for Watkins, who kept the ball away from Badiashile, squared it for McGinn, and his shot was straight down the middle of the goal, but it had height on it, so Petrovic could only parry it over the bar. Corner goes in, header won well by Caicedo, edge of the box is Moreno, touches it and then shoots with his weaker right foot. Slices it over the crossbar, and I think that might be that for the first half here at Villa Park. We've played 47 minutes in this first half, and that is where the referee, Thomas Bramall, will blow for the break here. And it's been a very dominant and well-executed Chelsea first half performance. Goal scoring started in the 11th minute through Conor Gallagher. Nicholas Jackson down the left-hand side. Cut the ball into the box. Found Madueke, who just laid it off for Conor Gallagher to hit first time. It was a shot as straight as you'll see one, straight into the top left corner. It was beautifully placed beyond Emi Martinez, and 10 minutes later, Chelsea had a second. Nicholas Jackson involved again, but this time he was the one scoring the goal. It was worked down the Chelsea right. Gusto with the first time cross. It was a curler. Jackson got in between Cash and Carlos, and none of them were picking up the Senegalese forward, and he headed it into the ground, into the bottom left corner. Again, very difficult for Emi Martinez to save, and after that, Aston Villa just struggled to create any big chances, and Chelsea continued to dominate the possession. And at half-time here at Villa Park, it's a very well-deserved lead for Chelsea, as it is Aston Villa 0. Chelsea 2. That shocked me. I'm very surprised that Chelsea have been so dominant and so strong. They've looked really good in that first half, and I think they've shell-shocked Aston Villa a little bit, but not just the team they've shell-shocked, but I think they've also surprised the Aston Villa players as well. I don't think they quite expected a performance like this, because Chelsea have been so inconsistent this season, not won any of their last 3 in all competitions, and then you've also got the fact that in pockets this season they have played quite well. So it's one of them where sometimes you don't really know which Chelsea is going to turn up, and we've got the Chelsea turning up, which is a Chelsea who can definitely go far in this competition. But thanks to everyone who's here. Really solid numbers again. Liking and subscribing helps. If you can do that during half-time, that'd be perfect. So we've got 2 more commentaries coming up this week, and they are both on Sunday. We've got Coventry against Millwall in the Championship at 12 on Sunday, and then we've got the 4:30 kick-off where we're going to be covering Aston Villa again. And they've got to be careful, because they're going to be coming up against a Manchester United side who have seemed to have hit a little bit of form in recent weeks, picking up 2 great wins last week against West Ham and Wolves, and also progressing into the FA Cup fifth round after beating League Two Newport. But it's a well-deserved lead. Conor Gallagher scoring his first goal of the season in the 11th minute. Hasn't scored any in the Premier League. He got 3 last season in the Premier League, and it's his first ever goal against Aston Villa. Hadn't scored in his previous 8 against today's opposition. And then for Nicholas Jackson, he gets 9 for the season now in all competitions. He'd missed the last 6 games for Chelsea due to his involvement in AFCON, where he came off the bench in every game for Senegal when they were beaten in the first round of the knockouts. But he's returned straight into the starting 11 and he's scored a fantastic header. It was expertly done, heading it into the ground, which makes it harder for the goalkeeper because when it bounces off the ground, it really, it really generates a lot of power. And it was very difficult for Martinez to save, because you can't really say he's been at fault for any of the goals, the Argentine World Cup winner. He's got a decent record in the FA Cup for clean sheets, Emi Martinez, 5 in his 13 he's played. And the winner of this tie will play Leeds at home in the 5th round, who went through last night to Plymouth, winning in extra time by 4-1. 1-1 after 90, and then they scored 3 in extra time, which was rather impressive. But this is Chelsea showing exactly what they can do under Mauricio Pochettino. He's been under a lot of pressure at the moment, especially after the weekend's result to Wolves. But this just shows what they can do, but they do need to do it a little bit more consistently, because the performances this season have only put them into 11th place on 31 points. They've actually lost more than they've won this season, Chelsea in the in the Premier League, winning 9 and losing 10. And 10 of those, and 6 of those defeats have been away from home, 5 in the last 6 away. So it's not even like they're coming into this game in good form away from home. They've been struggling recently, but doesn't look like that's the case at all. And it's just been relentless, really, from Chelsea. They've not stopped or half, which is the impressive part. They've not really allowed Aston Villa to have a spell in the first half of dominance at all, which, is credit to Chelsea in the way they've applied themselves in that first half. Conor Gallagher with the goal, and Nicholas Jackson, £32 million. Nicholas Jackson from Villarreal. It was put out in, I think it was September, that the Bournemouth owner was looking at Nicholas Jackson for Bournemouth, but there's a bit of size difference in clubs, really, Bournemouth or Chelsea. But that's a really good goal from Nicholas Jackson. The header into the ground. And I'm just surprised he was able to. What's happened is Cash is aware of Chilwell behind him, and Carlos isn't aware of Jackson behind him. So Cash is stuck between 2 minds of if to go towards Jackson and leave Chilwell on his own, or go to Chilwell. He's kind of gone towards both, stood in the middle, and it's allowed Jackson to have loads of space to win that header and score the goal. And Chelsea fans will be more than happy at the moment, as this is a 5-hour round trip for them on the roads. And at the moment, it's a worthwhile journey for those away fans. In the summer, Chelsea did spend £452 million, but they did sell around 270, so there was a lot of movement this season in terms of transfers. It has led to quite a lot of youth being used for Chelsea. We know that is their transfer strategy, bringing in the younger players and having very little experience, really. Once Thiago Silva goes at the age of 39, their oldest player, if I'm correct, will probably, like one of their most experienced first-team players who plays regularly, will probably be Raheem Sterling at 29. And to be fair, in football, in terms, that is getting older, but it's not really in terms of life, general life. 29 is still very young. But if you just have a look through their squad list, you're looking for older players, players who are active in the first team squad, who start games. And after Sterling at 29, it will then be Chilwell at 27. And then Disasi at 25. It's just a very young squad. And I just don't understand why they wouldn't bring just a few older players. Like, even if you just have 2 or 3, I know that goes against the transfer policy, but I think it would help the younger players improve more. When you've got older players who have been there and done it, you can learn a lot from them. So it just surprises me that they're so fixated on bringing so many young players in, but that's the way that they've gone with their transfers, and yeah, it's not really worked, has it, so far, because they're not doing that great in the league, but they are in a League Cup final, so you can't take that away from them. They play Chelsea in 2.5 weeks on the 25th of February, and if they win the League Cup, it'll be their 6th League Cup in their history. They haven't won one since 2015 against Spurs' Mauricio Pochettino's side. But Aston Villa have got some work to do here. They have won 60 of the previous 164 games against Chelsea. 15 wins in the Premier League, 8 at home and 7 away. They don't mind a trip to Stamford Bridge to Aston Villa. Definitely more so recently, not losing any of the last 3 at Stamford Bridge, including the draw in the FA Cup game a week or 2 ago. So the second half will be getting underway in a couple of minutes' time as Aston Villa have got all the work to do, and I think the main message through Unai Emery at half time will be telling his team just to calm down. Like it just seems all so rushed, and it was, I mean, I know they've been losing the game for a long time because the first goal went in the 11th minute, but there's at no point in the game where they were really settled on the ball. They just kept going long over the top, trying diagonal switches out wide, and it was just pretty easy for Chelsea to deal with in the end. So that'll need to change, just a bit more calmness in their build-up. And I know it's hard to do that when the Chelsea are pressing quite well in a 4-4-2 shape. And there is another FA Cup game actually going on as well. It is Nottingham Forest at home to Bristol City, and that is 1-1. Nottingham Forest did take the lead through Divock Origi, but then they were pegged back to 1-1 in the 14th minute through Jason Knight. So that one is still all to play for, and if whoever the winner is of that replay, they will take on Manchester United at home, so that would be a great fixture for Bristol City if they can take on Manchester United at home. They've already beaten one Premier League team at home in West Ham in the 3rd round. So that's the other FA Cup game. African Cup of Nations is also going on. Nigeria have progressed to the final on penalties. They were winning 1-0, but then they were pegged back with a penalty, 1-1, beating South Africa, who had a man sent off in extra time. And it went to penalties, and Iheanacho won it for Nigeria. And at the moment, the other semi-final between Ivory Coast and DR Congo is 0-0 at half time. I think Ivory Coast is still managerless, aren't they? At the moment, I swear they got rid of their manager during the um, group stages when it didn't look like they were going to go through, and now they're almost at the final. So it's all going on in the footballing world. As we should be getting the players re-emerging back onto the field pretty shortly. But yeah, 2 more commentaries coming later on this week, and then we've got, I think, another 4 next week. I can't quite remember. Let's have a look. So we've got Coventry, Millwall and Aston Villa, Man United this Sunday. And then next week we've got RB Leipzig, Real Madrid in the Champions League as the Champions League returns. How exciting. And that's on the Tuesday. On the Thursday next week we've got AC Milan against Rennes in the Europa League. That should be an interesting fixture. And then on the Sunday, on the Saturday, we've got Manchester City taking on Chelsea in the Premier League. So we're going to be covering Chelsea once again. And then on the Sunday, we will be doing Sheffield United taking on Brighton. So that's this week's and next week's commentaries. So there should be some cracking games in there. But for Aston Villa, they have forced a couple of saves out of Petrovic, but just nothing too difficult for the goalkeeper. The majority of the shots they've had have been straight at him, but they've had height, and they've been too high for him to catch. So he's just had to parry them over. But yeah, there's nothing too major really for George Petrovic in the Chelsea goal, as he's making his 14th appearance now for Chelsea, the goalkeeper, after coming in for the injured Robert Sanchez. So both players now are in the tunnel at Villa Park, where they have got their Champions League trophy on display. Aston Villa, when they won the European Cup back in 1982. As eventually the players walk back onto the field here, as we're going to be getting back underway at Villa Park very shortly. And I think it's quite obvious, but Aston Villa could do with an early goal if they really want to try and mount the comeback here. And I think we've been talking about it during half-time, but this Chelsea side is young, and if they concede an early goal here, they may, not saying they will, but they could collapse quite quickly. So it will be Aston Villa kicking right to left here. Chelsea left to right. It will be the away side with kickoff, with Cole Palmer, who plays it back to Fernandez and out to the right to Gusto. It's now with Disasi across to Badiashile on the edge of the area. Plays it forward, a low pass for Jackson, flicks it into the space for Gallagher, who's inside the Aston Villa half at the moment. Running across the pitch and playing it back out to the left here to Fernandez. It's now Chilwell retreating towards the halfway line, finding Badiashile. Quick pass into the midfield for Caicedo. 1-2 with Palmer, back with Caicedo. Gusto. Down the right wing for Madueke, who's been pulled back there by Moreno, but nothing given by the referee. He was expecting a free kick, but he wasn't given. Tielemans trying to go through towards Watkins, well cut out by Axel Disasi for Chelsea, as Gusto's facing his own goal here, and he has to go back to his goalkeeper of George Petrovic. He's now in the 18-yard box with Badiashile. Chilwell. He's got Bailey in front of him, curls it around him and down the line, headed forward by Cash, cut out by Fernandez. Now with Jackson, who's cynically brought down there by Diego Carlos, who's on a yellow card. He needs to be careful. He's on thin ice now, the Brazilian centre-half. Got nowhere near the ball and just cut across Nicholas Jackson there. And there is Unai Emery in discussion with his assistant of Paco Ayestaran. And I think also Pablo Villanueva. Very Spanish names there. Difficult to pronounce. As it is Chelsea on the ball. Just inside their own half with Badiashile. It's now with Disasi. He's going to go for a lifted ball. It's over the top. Madueke will chase it. Very miscued in the end and misjudged. Out of the play for a throw-in on this near side for Aston Villa in their left-back position with Alex Moreno. Finds McGinn with the throw-in. Away from Gusto. Tackled though by Fernandez. Out of play for another Aston Villa throw-in. This time towards the halfway line. Thrown back though to Longley. Across to Martinez in the 18-yard box. It's now with Carlos on the edge of the area. Inside to Kamara, who's been pulled down there by Fernandez. It's a free kick for Aston Villa. One of the easier decisions for the referee to make. There's only one change made for Aston Villa from their 5-0 win at the weekend, which you've not mentioned yet. That 5-0 win away at Sheffield United, where they were 4-0 up at half-time, and then were 5-0 up 2 minutes into the second half. Goal scored by Alex Moreno. But they only made one change. That's Ezri Konsa, who's not in the matchday squad tonight. So it shouldn't have, this result is surprising. They've not chopped and changed for this game at all. Aston Villa. But for Chelsea, they lost 4-0 away from home last season to Manchester City in the FA Cup when they lost in the third round. And they've not lost consecutive games away in the FA Cup since February 04 and 05 when they lost to Arsenal away and then Newcastle away the year after. So they don't usually lose back-to-back away from home in this competition very often. But you can forgive them for the 4-0 defeat last season to Manchester City away because they were under Graham Potter, where the whole team and probably the coaching staff weren't really that confident. As Aston Villa have got it. They had it. A ball out wide to Cash by Tielemans. Couldn't control it, the Polish right back. And it's a throw-in for Chelsea, just inside their own half on the far side. Just a simple ball, and he couldn't control it, Cash. Just sums up the Aston Villa performance so far, as we are just under 5 minutes into the second half, and it remains Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 2, as a ball lifted down towards Jackson, headed forward by Cash, back towards Jackson again, loses out to Louise, then Cash back to Carlos, moves it away from Jackson, then into the midfield here to McGinn, who's not got many options with him, plays it into the space for Longley, who will go forward from centre-back and play it down and in behind from Moreno, overhit pass, straight to Petrovic, who was off his line quickly there, right on the edge of his box to catch that ball. It was good goalkeeping by the Serbian. And it's been rolled out here to Disasi. It's now Gusto at right back. Back into Disasi towards the corner flag. Clears it down the line. And it goes out of play for a throw-in. Not the best of clearances there from Disasi. But the throw-in's been taken quickly by Longley to Carlos in the Aston Villa half. Forward for Louise. Caught twice there by Caicedo, in the free kick will be given here for Aston Villa. It's been a bit too aggressive there. Moises Caicedo. It's been taken quickly into the centre circle here with Carlos. Got no pressure on him. Feeds out to the left of Longley. Moreno into the space for McGinn, who will get there ahead of Disasi, but he's then tackled by the Frenchman. And it drops to Gusto at right back. Lifts it into Palmer. Touches it into Madueke. It's really free-flowing football from Chelsea when they get going. And Madueke is set off with purpose. He's running across the pitch, playing out to his left to Fernandez, 25 yards from goal. Onto his right foot, plays it through to Palmer, who on the byline will keep the ball in here. Just outside the 18-yard box, then enters the area, plays it for Gallagher, lays it off for Palmer, whose shot's blocked by Louise. Loose ball drops through for Gusto, who now has the ball here on the near side, midway side the Villa half. 1-2 with Caicedo, then back forward for Gallagher. Keeps the ball away from Moreno. Kicks it off McGinn. Throwing for Chelsea. Just didn't quite get the pass right there. Fernandes to Palmer, forcing him out wide. And the chance fizzled out as he wasn't able to get a shot on towards goal. It was blocked rather quickly there by Aston Villa. As Chelsea have worked it out to the opposite flank here with Chilwell. 1-2 with Madueke as he receives the backheel pass. Then Chilwell's ball is deflected to Fernandes beautifully. 1-2 with Palmer and Fernandes goes to shoot. And it's taken off him there by Tielemans. And it'll be a free kick there for Chelsea. Went to swing at it, Fernandes, and instead of swinging at the ball, Tielemans just caught him from behind as he went to strike. So it'll be a free kick for Chelsea. 25 yards out, just to the left of the box. So there's a little bit of an angle here for a right footer. And Enzo Fernandez is the one who's placed the ball. Coming up against his international teammate in Emi Martinez in the Aston Villa goal. Yeah, it's good for Chelsea. They've got a bit of an angle to work with. It's not too central. It's just out to the left ever so slightly. It would favour a right footer, but they do have Cole Palmer stood over it as well. But it does look like Enzo Fernandez is the one who means business here. Stood over this free kick. So Madueke's removing himself from the situation, but it is still Fernandes and Palmer. Oh, both of them have moved away. So it is going to be Enzo Fernandez and his right foot. About 25 yards out, he was the one who won the free kick. Can he dispatch it? It would take a lot of quality for him to do so. But he is £106 million worth of a player. So you would expect him to bring some magic as he gets it over the wall. And there is that FA Cup magic from Enzo Fernandez. What a free kick that is. Into the top left corner. And I've said it 3 times now. No chance for Emi Martinez in the Aston Villa goal. That is inch perfect. And that is why you spend over £100 million on a central midfielder for moments like that. He was really concentrated when getting ready for this free kick. The way he was placing the ball, looking up, seeing how much space he would have to get it into that top left corner with the wall in front of him. And what technique that is, with his right foot, curling it over the wall, bending it to that top left corner. Oh, it's just, you can't get it any more perfect than that. If that goes anywhere else, you probably fancy Martinez saving that. But it's so perfectly placed into that corner of the goal. Martinez got a slight hand to it, but nowhere near enough to keep it out. And here at Villa Park, it's a Chelsea and Pochettino masterclass as it's Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 3. What a strike from Enzo Fernandez. We absolutely love to see goals like that. I mean, I'm sure Aston Villa fans are furious, but as a neutral, it's a great goal to see from Enzo Fernandez. Gets his 6th of the season. It's his 2nd in the FA Cup. He scored in the 3rd round against Preston. I just didn't know he was capable of something like that, Enzo Fernandez. And he's got those Chelsea fans singing as Alex Moreno overruns it. Gallagher tackles him, but the ball drops to Carlos and not Palmer. It's cleared by the Brazilian out towards Bailey, who's pulled down by Chilwell, and that will be a free kick for Aston Villa. What a goal that is! It is on another level. It's just how it's just the way it bends away from Emi Martinez, who's scrambling across his goal. And in fairness, he got a decent spring there, Emi Martinez, and he did get a touch to it, but that's just a free kick on another level. And it does look like Chelsea are going to progress again. It will be their 9th time in the last 10 that they've progressed through a replay in the FA Cup. And in the cup competition so far this season, they've been nothing short of immaculate. Final of the League Cup. They're now into the 5th round of the FA Cup if this result stays the same. As Aston Villa play out from the back. It's Longley. Clears it down the line. Flicks off Caicedo nicely into Tielemans, who turns forward with a good chested touch. Moves it off Fernandes and gets it through the legs of the Argentine. Then Kamara out to Bailey. Matty Cash is overlapping on the far side. Bailey plays it through for Kamara instead. He's going to chase after it, but it just goes through into the 6-yard box there for the goalkeeper Petrovic. Some of the better play we've seen from Aston Villa in this game. Working it quickly. But looking at the free kick there, and to be fair, as Fernandes goes to shoot, and it looks like Tielemans just catches him from behind. It doesn't look like there's loads of contacts from that one replay, but we can't take anything away from that free kick. That is just gorgeous to watch. You can watch that over and over again. And I think the main question here for Chelsea, looking at this performance, is where has this been all season? You know, players of the calibre they've got, they should be able to perform like this, you know, more often, really. Shouldn't be lingering in 11th spot. So it's an Aston Villa free kick here on the right-hand side. About 35 yards away from goal. So it's an angle and a distance for a cross. Not quite sure what it was given for, in all honesty. So the referee here, Thomas Bramall, just wants a word with Douglas Luiz and Enzo Fernandez. That is the serious South American rivalry igniting there. Argentine against Brazilian. So it's the right foot of Cash and the left foot of McGinn. Aston Villa sending the centre-halves forward. And it will be McGinn to take this one. Swings it in. Header won by Carlos, but can't direct it on target. A bit wild in the end, over the bar and wide. And it remains Villa 0, Chelsea 3, with just over half an hour to play. Won the header on Badiashile, but couldn't divert it towards goal. Chelsea will play out from the back. Ball forward to Gallagher. The touch finds Jackson, who spreads it out to the right to Madueke. It's just so smooth tonight from Chelsea. Everything's working for them. Madueke in the box, on his left foot, shoots towards the far corner, and it deflects wide for a corner. And I'm not saying it's almost like a fortunate way, like everything's coming off for Chelsea and they're getting a bit of luck here and there. It's clean play. You know, not many of their passes are being deflected to a teammate. It's straight to their target and they're moving forward quickly. This is definitely the game that Chelsea will use as the example of how they should be playing every week. So from the resulting corner, it'll be an outswinger from the left boot of Chilwell. In it goes, swinging away from goal. Header won by Moreno on the penalty spot. Out wide right by Caicedo to Gusto. Forward to Madueke, who is not tripped over there. Just ran out of room on the near side. Throwing for Aston Villa, taken quickly into the box to Longley, who finds Luiz just in front of him 5 yards. Then Luiz goes over on the challenger Palmer. Free kick to Aston Villa. One of the more clever fouls there from Cole Palmer. Just running across Luiz to trip him up from behind to slow down the counter-attack. As they've given it away again on halfway, Tielemans losing possession. Madueke coming in from the right-hand side towards the left flank, losing possession to Kamara. It's now Luiz out to McGinn, still inside the Villa half here. He curls it out wide left to Luiz, who's made the run forward. He loses out though to Gusto, who can see the ball out for a throw-in. Really good defending there from Malo Gusto. He was sent off in the last game between these two in the Premier League. But he's performing very well. The French international has made one appearance for the French senior team, Malo Gusto, back in October of last year. There's Cole Palmer there as the throwing goes towards him on halfway. He just pulls back Longley, which means Aston Villa have a free kick, which has been taken short to Kamara in the centre circle. It's now with Leon Bailey. But he's only ever won 3 trophies in his managerial career so far, Maurizio Pochettino. Did win a French Cup during his time at PSG. It's long leg. What a bad pass that is. Straight to Madueke. About 10 yards away from the halfway line. Goes to his left to Caicedo. So now with right back Gusto. Slowly being pressed by McGinn. And he's been forced to go back here to the edge of the area to Disasi. It's now goalkeeper Petrovic. He's got time to find a pass. Goes to his left there to Badiashile. Forward for Gallagher. Midway side his own half. Can turn forward. And goes out to the right to Gusto. Forward for Palmer. Gusto fancies a ball over the top. He's going to go and look for Jackson, who will not beat Carlos to it. But the touch goes out of play for a throw-in in the final third for Chelsea. I mean, if you're not going to win the ball through the pass, you might as well try and force the defender into an error. And that's what Nicholas Jackson's done there. On this near side, Malo Gusto's got this throw-in to take right in front of the Chelsea travelling supporters. Throws it into Madueke, who turns forward, skips beyond Louise. Tackled by Kamara, but the ball cannons across to Chilwell, who's almost in the midfield position here, in the centre circle. Now with Badiashile on the halfway line. To his left to Fernandez, forward for Jackson. Moves it on from Cash. Fernandez to Caicedo, back to Fernandez. It's now with Chilwell. Loses out in the end to Kamara. It's now back with Aston Villa in their own half. Matty Cash, who's not had the greatest of games. The match winner in the third round against Middlesbrough. First ever FA Cup goal that was for Matty Cash, the 26-year-old. It's now Moreno on this near side, linking up with McGinn. Back with Moreno. Touch isn't great. Tackled there by Caicedo, and it's seen as a foul by the referee. Free kick for the home side. Again, it's far out, and it's far out to the left-hand side. So again, only the opportunity for a cross here for Aston Villa. We've got right-footed and left-footed options over it. It'll be the right foot of Louise. It's a good ball into the area. Can come off the head of Longley. Still alive for Watkins, but it's cleared by Gusto. And that is someone who has been absolutely non-existent in this game. Ollie Watkins. Well, I think a free kick's been given there for Chelsea during the melee in the box when the cross was put in. There must have been a foul in there. Let's have a look. I'm not going to show it. They're going to show highlights and replays of the goals instead here at Villa Park. Chelsea were 2-0 up in 20 minutes. Fantastic finish from Gallagher in the top left corner. Then a really cultured header by Nicholas Jackson. And then they made it 3-0 in the second half. A free kick out of this world from Enzo Fernandez. So we're back underway here. A header away by Cash to Gallagher. But for Ollie Watkins, who's coming up towards 150 appearances for Aston Villa. This is 149 for him, and he might score in the appearance here as he gets the ball from Louise, who wins it in the midfield. Watkins has been forced on the angle, keeps it in on the byline, outside the area now. He goes back to Bailey, who's on his left foot, playing it across to McGinn. Beyond Gusto, and then works the shot, and it'll be a goal kick. McGinn's not happy as he had this shot. He aimed it towards the bottom left corner. And it did look like he may have took a slight nick. Couldn't quite get the curl on the shot. No, just straight out of play. He's actually asking for a free kick there. He does get caught ever so slightly by Caicedo on the edge of the box, but the referee's given a goal kick instead. But yeah, for Watkins, he's making an appearance 149. He's looking for goal number 60. As he's got 51 in the Premier League. But he's never scored in the FA Cup for Aston Villa. He has got 3 previously for his other clubs. As from the goal kick, as Petrovic was taking it, Tielemans was inside the 18-yard box, so the goalkeeper wants the referee wants the goalkeeper to take it once again. And it just invites more frustration for Aston Villa, who've just not got going tonight at all. Badiashile clears it forward, can't find Jackson. Cut out by Cash to Kamara. McGinn, first time pass forward, comes off Caicedo. Cleared only as far as the halfway line to Carlos for Aston Villa. Out to the right to Cash. Bringing it forward with intent. Laying it off to his right to Bailey. He's got everything to his left here, the Jamaican. Back into Kamara. Midway side the Villa half. Carlos to Luiz. Back into Carlos in the centre circle. Across to Longley. Moreno. Everything to his right on this near side. Does find Douglas Luiz. Switches out to the right. Looking for Bailey. Header away by Chilwell. He'll be kept in here by Cash. No, he'll let it run out for a throw-in to keep the ball away from Jackson, and throws it into Kamara. As all Chelsea players are behind the ball. Bar Cole Palmer at the moment. Kamara still has it. Down the right-hand side here to Cash. Lays it off for Kamara again. They give it away. Looking forward. Finding Fernandez. Instead, then Palmer to Madueke. Running it Longley here. Palmer's on the overlap. Madueke might go on his own here. Releases it in the end to Gallagher. And back out to the right to Palmer. On the edge of the box. Onto his left foot. He's giving time and space here. Not quite the right angle for him to shoot. So we play it back out wide here to Gusto. Looking for Madueke. Poked from him by Luiz. It's now with McGinn on the left-hand side. Who is running out of space here. Trying to get it away from Gusto, who tackles him fairly. And Chelsea win the ball back. I just don't think any Aston Villa player have had a good game. That's been the problem. There's been no positive source of reason for Aston Villa to have any faith of a comeback. And that, again, I don't want to take anything away from Chelsea because they've been superb, but Aston Villa, none of their players have had a good game. They've all been sloppy, slow. Just looks a little bit lethargic at times for the home team, which is unlike them at Villa Park under Unai Emery. Chelsea player from the back is a long ball forward, this time for Enzo Fernandez, who chests it down wonderfully on the left-hand side and is fouled by Diego Carlos. No, says the referee. Chilwell tried the big touch down the line, cut out by Cash. It's now with Kamara. Forward to Tielemans here. Looking for Bailey, and again, rubbish pass. Useless. Easily cut out by the side challenger, Badiashile, and it's just been the pattern of the game for Aston Villa. Nothing's come off for them, and that's not because they've had no openings. It's just that the passing hasn't been good enough at all. Especially in the second half, when they've been 2-0 down and 3-0 down, as Palmer plays it through for Madueke. He does force him wide, but he will keep it in here. In the final third, he's only really got Madueke as an option here. As Palmer as an option, Madueke, but he goes back to Gusto in the end, then all the way to the halfway line to Disasi. Slowly being closed down by Watkins, but he can shift it quickly to his left to Badiashile. Fernandez towards Caicedo. Loses out to Luiz. Tielemans on halfway. Lets Kamara take over so we can play it into Bailey. Running at Badiashile into the area. Can't quite decide which side he wants to go on. Almost runs into him in the end, but he keeps it alive to Tielemans. In the area. Towards the byline. Inside to Bailey. Back to the edge of the box to Kamara. To his left to Luiz. Swinging it out to the right again to Tielemans. He's got the run of Bailey in behind. Tries to play it to him, but it's intercepted by Chilwell. Again, that final pass being poor. And Chilwell's clearance can't quite find Jackson. Goes through for Diego Carlos. For Aston Villa, who will look for Cash. Forward from right back into the final third. Wants a 1-2 with Bailey in the area. Finds him. Cuts it back. McGinn with the shot. And it's a great block on the 6-yard line by Disasi. And the pass back by Jackson. Can't find a teammate. He concedes the corner instead. It looked like for the first time in the game, Aston Villa had opened up a real opportunity. And the Cash pull back was a good one. It was perfect for McGinn to latch onto it first time. But it was blocked really well by Disasi. But it couldn't be cleared by Jackson. He concedes the corner. And you feel like with 20 minutes to go, if Aston Villa could get one goal back, it could start the comeback. As it'll be the left foot here of Leon Bailey. It'll be an in-swinger towards the goalkeeper, who will catch it very easily. And it's just reaffirming our belief. I say our belief, I don't know if you agree with me, but just how nothing's been good enough from Aston Villa. As they are eventually, by the way, they've not made a change yet until now. And I think these changes have come a little bit too late. They should have done them sooner. But it'll be John McGinn, who's, I love John McGinn. is usually very consistent, but this has been a game to forget for him. He'll be replaced by Moussa Diaby, and the other change will be Yuri Tielemans to be replaced by Jacob Ramsey, sorry. Jacob Ramsey has never scored in his previous 7 against Chelsea. He did miss the first FA Cup game with injury. So 2 changes for Aston Villa. We've not had any yet for Chelsea, who may make a couple soon because they have got 3-goal advantage. So it's Gallagher losing the midfield battle to Kamara, who is made to go backwards to Carlos, who's midway inside the Aston Villa half here. And if somehow Aston Villa can create a heroic comeback, we will have extra time. Ball over the top, down the right channel for Watkins. Brings it down. He's outside the area at the moment. 1-1 with Disasi. Cash is bombing forward. Doesn't use the run of the Polish international. Watkins still has it. Gets away from Fernandez. Running at Disasi. And Chilwell. Can't get around any of them in the end. It's taken away from him by Chilwell, who forces it out wide. Needs to clear it if possible. Clips it forward. Nowhere near Palmer. Carlos got there first. And it can be Aston Villa to try and build another attack. So with Moreno in the final third from left back. Inside to Ramsey. With Moreno again. Douglas Luiz across to Carlos. About 30 yards from goal. Watkins out to the right to Diaby. Cut out by Jackson. Loose ball recollected for Aston Villa through Kamara. Watkins tackled fairly from behind by Badiashile. It's now Augusto on the edge of the box. Back to his goalkeeper Petrovic, who can just about keep it in. And he'll clear it with his right foot, and it comes off Watkins. Drops towards Disasi, who can work it away 10 yards, and then volleyed up to the halfway line by Gusto. Nearly a huge mistake from the goalkeeper, and they don't want that the way for Aston Villa to get back in it. They don't want them to creep their way into the game through a mistake. As Moreno gets the ball from Longley into the space for Ramsey. Tackled perfectly by Disasi, but he drops Moreno, who clips it into the far post. Headed away, Diaby on the volley. Slices it well wide of the post. And it's a goal kick for Chelsea. And he's got to be up there with man of the match, Axel Disasi. That is a beautiful slide tackle. He went in early, and he covered some ground with the slide tackle, but he won the ball perfectly. And then, in the end, Diaby didn't slice that ball. He just shinned it wide instead. But he does look like a monstrous centre-back, doesn't he? Axel Disasi for Chelsea, who did make 130 league earn appearances. The 25-year-old, as Chelsea are going to make their first change, and it's someone who's really implanted himself into the game and is probably looking at a start at the weekend in Chelsea's next game away at Palace, and that is Noni Madueke. He did provide the assist for the first goal for Gallagher. He's been replaced by number 7, Raheem Sterling, who's a one-time FA Cup winner in 2019, scored twice in the final against Watford. He comes in. And he has scored once already against Aston Villa in the 4th round of the FA Cup, away from home for Manchester City in 2016. As he gives away a foul here, Sterling, his first involvement in the game, just pulling down an Aston Villa player, and I think it was Boubacar Kamara in the Aston Villa half, and it's been taken quickly, and they're going to work it out to the near side here to Moreno, who adventures into the Chelsea half. He's got Palmer closing him down. Now with Luiz, to the right to Diaby, turns away from Sterling, now into Cash, final third, through for Bailey in the area, who's allowed to turn, and finds Diaby. Now Cash, crosses it to the far post, Moreno with the header onto the roof of the net. Just didn't loop down enough for the Spaniard. And again, Aston Villa feel the frustration. They were just about able to work it to Cash on the right-hand side in the box. Chilwell and Fernandez, one of them should have blocked that cross at least. And it went through to Moreno, who won the header on Gusto. And it just never came down in time. Skimmed over the roof of the net. And it remains 3-0 Chelsea. And it looks like the Chelsea goalkeeper is going to be booked for time wasting. In fairness, I don't think he's done much of it. So it does show that the referee has clamped down on the time wasting as soon as it's occurred. So, under 15 minutes left to play of the 90 minutes. Still Chelsea 3-0. That goal kick can be flicked on by the head of Chilwell and sliced behind by Cash. Cut out by Carlos and cleared forward to Diaby on halfway. Luiz to his left to Ramsey in the centre circle. Not got many options with him. He's got Moreno out wide, but that's been cut off by Palmer. Eventually works it to Moreno, getting it beyond Palmer. Moreno charging forward. Going inside here from left back. Laying it off for Luiz. Then across to the right to Kamara. And his pass cut out by Sterling, but goes back to the Frenchman. It's now with Cash. Now Leon Bailey. On his left foot. Driving across the box. Playing it through for Diaby. It's a good pass. Needs the cut back to be right. It's headed away by Badiashile. But Aston Villa can continue the attack as it's with Luiz on the left-hand side. Got Ramsey in support. Plays it into his path. On the byline. Onto his right foot. Into Luiz. Bailey takes a touch. And tries to play back through for Luiz. But it's cut out by Disasi again. Who finds Palmer in a right-back position. Forward for Caicedo. Who's found a bit of space on the edge of the area. And Caicedo can bring it away. Shrugs off Moreno. And plays it into Jackson. He's got loads of room on this right-hand side. And this would really kill the tie. Jackson in the box. Trying to get beyond Carlos. Keeps it away from the Brazilian. Then finds Palmer on the edge, who strikes it towards the bottom right corner. There's a deflection which takes the sting out of the shot. And it's an easy save for Remy Martinez to avoid the corner. Aston Villa can build again from the back. It looks like Caicedo's down with an issue. But Aston Villa are not going to kick this ball out of play. They see this as an opportunity with a player extra at the moment. But then they've given it away. Enzo Fernandez then can kick it out of play. And it's Moises Caicedo. Really hope this is not a muscular injury. I really hope this is not. Because Moises Caicedo's had a really strong performance tonight. Looks like he's really bossed the midfield for Chelsea. So I'm hoping it's just maybe a cramp, something like that. But it does look like it might be a hamstring issue. As Chelsea do want to bring on Thiago Silva, which is probably a smart change to see this game through. Don't want any collapse at any given time in this game. Because that would be slightly embarrassing for Chelsea after dominating so much of the performance. So we are going to get a stoppage as Moises Caicedo receives treatment here. It looks like he was just putting his hand on his right hamstring. I just hope that's not the case, because that would be really unfortunate for the Ecuadorian, who was, like I say, really shown tonight why they did pay the big bucks for him from Brighton. He is back to his feet. I don't think he'll continue anyway. I don't think they'll take the risk. But let's just hope for Caicedo's sake that isn't anything too serious. He will hobble off the field. As I'm presuming he'll be replaced here for Chelsea. And Chelsea are taking this seriously. They're bringing on their strongest players on the bench. Well, actually might be a triple change here for Chelsea. We'll have to wait and see. Caicedo is coming off here for number 18, Christopher Nkunku. Looks like there's a bit of confusion here. I don't know how this is so confusing. Nkunku needs to come on. He'll replace Caicedo. Ten minutes to play now. So Caicedo off for Nkunku. And then it's going to be Palmer to be replaced by Silva. Palmer not scoring tonight, but being his usual threatful self. 14 goals this season, 12 of them for Chelsea. Not scored in the FA Cup this season, Cole Palmer. So, what changes have been made here? Because Caicedo's still waiting on the sidelines when his number came up. So, I don't know who's come off. Because Caicedo's waiting there, and his number was up for Nkunku. So Aston Villa throw it back on, and then they kick it back to Chelsea. because they had possession. So who's come off here? So this has confused the life out of me. How has this become so confusing? Honestly, I don't know who's come off. I'll find out as soon as possible. As we are back underway, Villa clearing it. And it is Caicedo back on the pitch, so obviously he has not come off. He's okay. Obviously must have just been a bit of cramp for him. So now with Chilwell. Fernandez on the ball. Back to the right centre-back of Disasi. So obviously we know Madueke came off for Sterling before. But now we've had Nkunku come on. So I'm presuming it's... Or has Nkunku not come on? I don't think he's come on. So Nkunku's not even come on. What a mess this is. Nkunku's not come on. So it's Madueke off for Sterling. And then Thiago Silva has come on for Cole Palmer. So they've obviously just took off an attacker for a defender. So no Nkunku coming on. No Caicedo coming off. It's Palmer off for Thiago Silva. Wow, what a confusion. Jackson on the left can keep it in here, but he falls over the ball and Cash can tackle towards Bailey. Kicked away by Chilwell, throwing for Aston Villa in their own half. Taken quickly here to Diego Carlos, who's got no one in front of him, so can bring it forward here for Aston Villa. Sorry for the confusion there, but I was equally as confused in fairness, so I do apologise for that. It's still Carlos on the ball, just dribbling up towards the halfway line, going to his left to Longley. No option out wide for him, so goes back into Carlos. Cash. Bailey on the halfway line, far side. Chilwell's right up near him, so can only be forced to go backwards. Douglas Luiz. So Nottingham Forest and Bristol City, the other FA Cup replay tonight, has gone to extra time at the City ground. The winner of that will play Manchester United at home. So that's a big fixture for Bristol City if they can get the win and play United in the 5th round. Because they have beaten United pretty recently in the League Cup, if I remember rightly, in 2018. Because Bristol City then went to Manchester City in the semi-final and got beat over 2 legs. So be a rerun of that one. Aston Villa still on the ball. With Longley on the halfway. Sterling forcing him back. Just absolutely no way through for Aston Villa tonight. It's been a Pochettino masterclass at the moment. Diaby being followed all the way by Badiashile. He will keep the ball though, Diaby. But he's well in his own half. So not really made up much ground there, Aston Villa. As they are in the Chelsea half now with Douglas Luiz, centre of the field. He's got options right and left. He'll curl it out to the right to Bailey. The overlap of Cash is on. He's running at Chilwell at the moment. Bailey tries to play it through towards Cash. Deflected by Gallagher. He avoids the corner. And he takes on Bailey. That's fantastic skill from Gallagher. Who then eventually clears up the field looking for Jackson. Header won by Carlos. Nodded down by Watkins to Diaby. Watkins takes over. It's now with Bailey on the right again. Towards the byline. Gallagher's chasing him down. He can work across to the near post, but it's easily dealt with by the volley of Badiashile, and it will be a throw-in for Aston Villa. They're just showing pictures of Mauricio Pochettino at the moment, who's got a 50% win rate against Aston Villa previously. 5 wins in his last 10. And all those wins came in 6 at Spurs. The only loss he picked up against Aston Villa as Spurs boss was in April 2015. As it's now Badiashile down for Chelsea. That's why we've had the pause before the Aston Villa throw-in. So it looks like we'll have Benoit Badiashile to come off for number 42, Alfie Gilchrist. Chelsea fan, joined at under 11's level from QPR, now at the age of 20. Did start the 2 previous FA Cup games against Preston and Aston Villa at Stamford Bridge. So it looks like Badiashile will be replaced. He's had a fantastic game alongside Axel Disasi. And it does look like Nkunku will come on as well for the remaining 4 minutes, but I'm not quite sure who he will be replaced by, as I'm presuming the changes will be made now before the throw-in. Not quite sure what's wrong with Badiashile. Hopefully it's nothing serious. So here comes Alfie Gilchrist to see out this 3-0 lead that Chelsea have got, as they will play Leeds in the next round at home. And Nkunku will be coming on and replace Nicholas Jackson, who was the scorer of the second. A superb header into the corner of the goal. And there is number 18, Christopher Nkunku, who scored 3 in 4 pre-season games before being injured with a knee problem and then was out until December. He's had a slight hip issue in January, but he's back once again now. And it's going to be an Aston Villa change as well. So we've had quite a pause in the game here. So we've got 3 minutes to play. It might be a double change here, actually, for Aston Villa. One of them is going to be Leon Bailey to come off for Nicolo Zaniolo, loanee from Galatasaray, with a £19 million option to buy at the end of the season. He has only scored once, though, for Aston Villa in the Premier League. Came against Sheffield United in that 1-1 draw in December. And the other change, it does look like Tim Irabunum's come on. The 20-year-old midfielder who spent last season on loan at QPR. Not quite sure who he replaced in the end there. I think he replaced Kamara from the throw-in. Aston Villa have given it away, but it looks like they've won it back here off Gallagher with Zaniolo, who is battling with Gallagher, and the free kick goes the Italians' way. So free kick for the Villa. And they restart at the back with Carlos. Forward to Louise in the centre circle. Does look like time has probably run out for Aston Villa to forge any comeback. Longley to Louise again. Big switch out to the right. It's a high one. It's a bit too high. And Cash can't keep it in. Throw in for Chelsea. And this should be a real confidence booster for Chelsea fans, the Chelsea players, the Chelsea coaching and staff, because this shows that they can do it 100%. You know, they've not come up against a rotated Aston Villa side. I mentioned it before, but they only made one change from their 5-0 win at the weekend to Sheffield United, and they only made 2 changes from the team that started the first game in this tie. So it's a very respectable 3-0 win. They've battered them. I think they've been superb, Chelsea, tonight. As they've got it to right-back Gusto here. Sterling's making a run down the flank. It's going to look for him. It won't reach him, though. He's been tackled there by Jacob Ramsey, who will bring it forward down the Villa left. He's got Moreno making a run forward, doesn't use him, goes inside to Louise, who can just about keep it away from Raheem Sterling, and he curls out to the right here to Cash. Strides forward with it, lays it off to Zaniolo. Irabunum on the ball. Keeps it away from Nkunku. Goes inside to his left here to Louise. Now to his left as well to Longley. Moreno is out wide. They find him here. Everything to his right. 1-on-1 with Gusto. Trying to work a bit of space for a cross here. Last touch off the Chelsea right back. So it will be an Aston Villa corner on the near side. As we are aiming towards the 90th minute. We will get a bit of added on time because we've had a couple of Chelsea players go down with injuries and substitutes have taken quite a while to make. So we will get a good chunk of added on time, I think. Corner goes short. Jacob Ramsey in the area. Right-footed cross. Comes off the back of Sterling. It'll be another corner again, same side. This one probably won't be taken short. Louise will probably cross this in directly into the box. He goes out to the edge of the box instead to Cash, who from afar strikes it, blocks off the back of Nkunku. Out to Louise, the original corner taker. Down the line to Ramsey. Cuts it back here, Zaniolo dummies. It falls to Diaby to shoot it off the post and in. 4 minutes have been indicated to be added on. And Aston Villa do have one back through Moussa Diaby. It's his 6th goal in an Aston Villa shirt. He's only scored 1 in his last 13 in the Premier League. And it's well worked there. Zaniolo over. Very smart dummy to allow it to run through to Moussa Diaby, who was lurking on his own on the edge of the box. And with his left foot, shot the ball towards the bottom right corner. It came off the post and went across the line. And with the curly generated from the shot, it curled over the line and into the back of the net. It was well placed there from the former Leverkusen winger. And Aston Villa do have one back here. It's Villa 1, Chelsea 3, but we do only have 3 minutes of added on time remaining. As Sterling plays it through the gap here for Gusto. Back inside to Sterling. Edge of the area. Do they fancy a forfeit? Gallagher turns away from Zaniolo and he shoots it towards goal, but it's saved easily by Martinez, just too close to the Argentine goalkeeper. As we do have a Aston Villa free kick here. Edge of the box. I think Caicedo just going a bit too strong in there on Tim Irabunum. And for Tim Irabunum off the bench here for Aston Villa tonight, it is his first ever FA Cup appearance, so he is making his FA Cup debut, and he's on the ball at the moment, playing it to Longley, the left centre-back. On the halfway line, forward for Ramsey in between the lines. It's a good pass, and it's another good pass to Diaby in the box here. Strong tackle from Chilwell, sends him wide, still with Diaby, who will lift it to the far post. It's going to be a volley from Cash, headed away by Thiago Silva. Corner for Aston Villa, and the big question is, where has this been for the second half? They've actually sped up the play a bit. They're just doing things a bit quicker, and it's all just come a little bit too late. I mean, if they do score here, that would be a serious, edgy last minute for Villa as the corner goes in from Cash. Left-footed cross, goes through to Moreno on this near side. Recycles it in the box. Header won by Irabunum. And it's right at the goalkeeper, Petrovic, who nearly spilt the ball towards Zaniolo, but he made sure he got back on the ball. It was a good header won there by Irabunum, but it was just straight at Petrovic, who collected it before Zaniolo could try and get on the rebounds. And that would have been quite the dream for Irabunum, off the bench on his FA Cup debut, getting a goal. But the long kick's been brought down by Nkunku beautifully on the edge of the area. Out to the left here to Gallagher, who's already got one himself. Forces Nkunku wide, and we've got a minute of added on time left, so Nkunku won't really rush anything here. It goes back to Caicedo, inside to Fernandes, then back to Chilwell. As Chelsea look to try and kill as much time here as possible, as Gallagher gives it away to Irabunum. Tackled though by Nkunku. Can't allow Aston Villa to progress up the field. On the far side, Gallagher does keep it in, but then loses it with a pass to Caicedo. Louise pass intercepts off Chilwell. Nodded inside here by Caicedo here to Nkunku. Plays it through to Caicedo. Is he onside? It doesn't matter because his shot over Martinez has been saved. Good outstretched arm there from the goalkeeper as Caicedo's looking for his first Chelsea goal. And now Gallagher in the corner flag. Keeps it in with Caicedo. Through for Chilwell. Last touch off Cash. Corner for Chelsea on the far side. And that will more than likely be that now, as we are nearly at the 94th minute of the game, which takes us to the 4 minutes added on. And it's all just come a little bit too late for Aston Villa, who have gone around further than they usually do. Like I say, the 7 seasons before this one, they had been knocked out in the third round, and they had been knocked out in the third round of 8 of the last 10 seasons. But for Chelsea, as the whistle is blown here at Villa Park, it finishes here. Aston Villa 1, Chelsea 3. And that will be a very satisfying victory for Mauricio Pochettino, who's been under a little bit of pressure recently, as results haven't been going Chelsea's way. They were without a win in their last 3 coming into this one. But for me, I haven't watched Chelsea, and I haven't watched their every game under Pochettino, but that's the best I've seen them all season. It was a very professional FA Cup performance away from home, and the fact that it's a professional performance shows that these players who are young are starting to mature a little bit. That was very, very good from Mauricio Pochettino's side, who didn't have a player in the starting 11 30 or above. That is very, very satisfying, and it is a 5th round place booked for Chelsea. They'll take on Leeds at home, and they're in the 5th round of the FA Cup. They're already in the League Cup final, so domestically things are going well for Chelsea. And they went 2-0 up in 20 minutes. The first one from Conor Gallagher, 11 minutes in, putting a ball into the top left corner of the goal. It was a fantastic finish, and it was Gallagher's first of the season and his first ever FA Cup goal. That was doubled 10 minutes later. Nicholas Jackson headed home a gusto cross 8 yards out, getting in between 2 Aston Villa defenders and putting Chelsea 2 up. And then after half-time, 54th minute, Enzo Fernandez scored a beautiful free kick 25 yards out. So far in the top left corner, it was unsavable for Emi Martinez, and that gives Enzo Fernandez his 6th Chelsea goal of the season. It's his 2nd in the FA Cup after the goal he scored against Preston in the 3rd round. And for Aston Villa, they just never got going. Their play was messy, it was scrappy, it was a frustrating night altogether, but they were able to get a consolation goal in the first minute of added on time. Moussa Diaby latched onto a pullback, which was dummied by Zaniolo, and from the edge of the area to the bottom right corner, it deflected off the post, across the line, into the net. But it was far too late for Aston Villa to mount any comeback, and in the end here at Villa Park, in the 4th round replay, it is finished Aston Villa 1, Chelsea 3. Thank you to everyone who has been here throughout the commentary. It is much appreciated. Make sure you like and subscribe before you go if you haven't already. We've got 2 more commentaries coming later on in the week. They are both Sunday, 12 o'clock championship game between Coventry and Millwall. And then at 4:30 we have got Aston Villa once again, who will have to rebound from this because they've got another home game in the Premier League. But they're taking on a Manchester United side who seem to have picked up a bit more form recently with the returning players from injury. So it will be a difficult one for Aston Villa to rebound back from. But they've got to try and find some form from somewhere, as they do face Manchester United next. But at the moment, they are 4th in the league, so now they can just focus on the Premier League because they're out of the League Cup in the 3rd round. They're now out of the FA Cup in the 4th round. They will have the Conference League to focus on as well in Europe in the upcoming weeks, as they have already secured their spot into the last 16 of that competition. But for the moment, they will just have to focus on the league as they aim for the top 4. But tonight is just one of those to forget. I said it during the game, but it just seemed like no Aston Villa player was on it tonight. All of them played poorly in their own way. No one was on it. It was a poor team performance. Watkins was non-existent tonight, and it just shows how good Chelsea were. They were absolutely brilliant. Great commentary as always. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. I'd enjoy that one. I'm just shocked how well Chelsea played. It was that's got to be a pleasing performance for the supporters because it's just so good. Just a whole around the pitch, their pressing, their build-up play, their finishing as well was superb. All different kinds of finishes. But this is the end of the live commentary from Villa Park, and it's been a performance that I don't think anyone expected. I didn't for sure. That's probably putting a bit too much disrespect on Chelsea and probably showing a bit too much respect to Aston Villa, and I think that's what Villa did a little bit. I think Aston Villa just lacked that respect for Chelsea. I think they almost expected an easier game because they were at home, and obviously Chelsea have struggled the last couple of games. But yeah, that is the end. I hope you did enjoy. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. But here at Villa Park, Aston Villa are out of the FA Cup in the 4th round after being defeated to Chelsea, who have turned up tonight wanting to win, and they've come away with the victory. And here at Villa Park, Chelsea proceed to the 5th round where they'll take on Leeds. It finishes here, Aston Villa 1, Chelsea 3.